Now, if ever there was a case for keeping it simple when it comes to content, this is it. I'm going to share with you one of my favorite examples of content marketing today. It's brilliant link building content. It's generated 730 referring domains to date and continues to generate links passively every week. But it's also generating around 50,000 website visits a month from organic search. And these website visits, these are people who are the exact target audience for this particular brand. The thing that I love the most is how simple this idea is. This is not a big interactive, innovative, new, unique idea that nobody's ever done before. It is so simple. In fact, we've probably all done content like this before. So let's dive in, take a look at it, and look at why it's working so well. So this is Wix. For those of you not familiar with Wix, it's a DIY hardware type brand. They have bricks and mortar stores all over the UK, and they have an e-commerce offering as well. Now, unless you are a DIY fanatic, which I am not, then as far as retail goes, this is a pretty boring brand, maybe. Is that fair? I think it's fair. I'm going with it. But what they've done is pretty incredible here. This is the how-to guides section of the Wix website, and there's a lot of content on here. We'll go through some of it in a minute. Writing how-to guides is by no means a new concept. We've probably all done it or told a client to do it. It's not new, but let's take a look at some of these metrics. 731 referring domains, and we'll dive into those in a minute. There's also an organic search estimate of 49,100 visits per month. Now, I am not involved in this project. I don't have access to analytics for Wix. But for the sites that I do have access to analytics for, what I'm finding is that actually SEMrush is underestimating organic traffic quite a lot at the minute. So this could actually be quite a lot higher. 25,400 different keywords ranking. These are some pretty big numbers for what is a relatively simple concept. Now let's take a look at some of these specific links here. Daily Mail, Guardian, House Beautiful, Gardener's World, Grazia. These are all big websites, well-visited websites. Now, of course, that's not the case all the time. There's also some random crap websites in here. But the one thing to bear in mind is that these websites, for the most part, they're not writing about Wix. They're just including Wix as kind of background information, I guess. A good example here is Mumsnet. Mumsnet has written an article on the best photo frames. And what Mumsnet wants to do is also give a little bit of background information. So they've said here, if you're looking for help hanging a picture, this guide is pretty useful. Guide is this particular piece on the Wix website. Mumsnet just wants to write about the best photo frames. They don't want to write their own full guide on hanging a picture. So they find a guide and they include that in their content because it's useful for their users and it saves them writing about it themselves. Now, this content follows pretty much the same structure for most of their how-to pages, right? How to hang a picture. We've got a video here, which I'm going to come back to in a minute. We have useful links, tools that you need, which links through to products, and some more relevant information too. There's a bit of an introduction. There's a step-by-step, and this is just images, and a little bit of text. So I think it's pretty cleanly laid out. It's very easy for somebody to navigate. This is on a desktop, of course, but if you visit these on a mobile as well, it's pretty easy for someone to navigate. What I do really like is this. When you start the video, there's these shoppable links here. So from within the video frame, you can literally just add stuff to basket straight away, the stuff that you're going to need in order to actually do this thing that you're looking up online how to do. So the content, I think, is pretty well done, but is by no means overly complicated, by no means mind-blowing or particularly innovative. It's just simple how-to content. What I really love about this is the fact that links are being discovered regularly, all the time, every week, okay? And that has been the case for quite some time. This has been building links since 2021, not regularly since 2021, but you can kind of see going through that the frequency increased over time, which has probably happened as more content has gone live. It has started ranking better. And of course, they're not all good links, okay? That's never going to be the case with something that generates links naturally. But what this has done is generated links consistently over time. Given the context of the links, I think it's pretty unlikely that anybody's doing outreach here. This is somebody writing their own thing. They need a bit of a background source. They need some more information that they don't want to create themselves. They go off, they Google it, they find a decent, reliable, credible source for it, some decent content, and they include that as a source in their own piece of content. These to me look like completely passive links. It's also worth saying that not all of this content is equal. We've got things like how to fit roof shingles that has 142 linking domains, how to lay a deck 78, and then we come right down here to some of these that have far fewer. Oh, we have a 404. Some of these have far fewer links. So they're not all generating links, but what is happening is that enough of them are generating links that there is this hub of content on their website that is generating both traffic and links. And let's dive into some of the traffic figures. So I mentioned earlier the SEMrush estimate of just shy of 50k organic visits a month. Now, when we look at just UK, this is a UK retail site, that's just shy of 40,000. And there's masses of keywords here that are generating that traffic. There's some quite generic stuff like landscaping and some fairly commercial stuff like bathroom floor tiles. I guess the thing that I'm most interested in really is kind of the how-tos. And in terms of how-to content, have a look at the keywords here. Look, 2,559 of these how-tos, all going to a range of different pages. What I love about this is someone searching how to lay artificial grass is clearly planning on laying artificial grass. Now, they might already have everything they need in order to do it, but some of those people are going to search before they buy the materials, or they're going to search and they're going to realize they need some tools they haven't yet got. And this content will give them all the information that they've asked for. It's nice, it's editorially relevant, but it will also give them access to buy the tools and the materials they need there and then. It really is smart. I think the thing I love the most is how simple this is. This really does make the case for keeping things simple. Yep, they've gone down the Content Hub route, but they've not done some sort of fancy interactive unnecessary design. This looks like a blog page. It just looks like a blog because it is a blog. It's all categorized, decorating, tiling, flooring. How-to guides. It's just how-to guides. But Wix have done a few things incredibly well here. The first thing they've done is that they've really understood their audience. So they understand inherently what triggers most of their consumers to actually start buying DIY tools. And I imagine in most cases, it isn't just, oh, yes, there's going to be a new drill release next week. I'm going to stand outside and queue for it. These are things that people buy when they have a task to do or a job to complete. Wix understands that. So this fundamentally looks like it's all been started with the audience. They've made really smart topic choices. Now, yet there's going to be some keyword research in that, I don't doubt, but really, fundamentally, they've focused on what topics people need information on, what they need help with. So this is probably also based on their own experience of the DIY tasks that are mostly carried out at home by novices or people who wouldn't already have the appropriate equipment and know-how. They've then created genuinely helpful content. And I don't mean algorithm helpful content or something to tick a box for the next update. This is genuinely helpful content. If you didn't know how to lay decking before, you will know how to lay decking after you've read that piece of content. They've optimized it while they've got the basics in place. They've got that optimized for the keywords that they're targeting. I assume deliberately, could be accidentally. And it's evergreen. How we change a light bulb or how we fix a leaky tap or how we lay decking isn't something that's going to change every time something happens in the political landscape. This is content that can sit on the site for years and years and years without updates, which means it can continue to generate links because it remains relevant and helpful. This then becomes self-fulfilling because the more links that content generates, the better it ranks for its keywords, the more people find it and the more people link to it again. So this kind of self-fulfilling passive content. Honestly, so simple, and one of my absolute favorite examples of content for both link building and driving new customers.